Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Ace21. You watching another edition of PolAr JoQs. Q talk to him.
Hey, you already know who it is. Your boy Q Smitty, PolAr JoQs, giving y'all that cold rush, man. Today we have a very special guest, my brother. Introduce yourself.
Yo, what's good? Where it's your friendly neighborhood author, Peter Parker. Peace and love.
So today we're talking about, we're trying to build that bridge, trying to close that gap in between the old society and the new society nowadays, you know what I'm saying? So, Q, what you think? What's your thoughts on that?
Man, building the gap between the old generation and the new generation. I honestly believe that that's something that's actually a daily conversation thing. Like when you think about the older generation, they kind of, well, it's not necessarily talking to us, they're more so talking at us, if that makes sense. So when they do that, it's hard for us to be able to create a bond and an understanding on how we should move in life because they're older. Therefore, they have the knowledge and the wisdom to be able to lead us into the path that we need to be led into. So, for example, a lot of these kids nowadays, they deal with a lot of, issues as far as social media is concerned. And in social media, there's a lot of bad influences with that. But the thing is like the older generation never was able to sit down and actually talk to us about those bad influences and how those really affect the whole society, you know what I'm saying? So as far as that goes, man, I just honestly think that gap can only be built if we create a bond of understanding where we're talking to each other.
I feel matter of fact, I feel the same way about it. Peter, what you think about that? I know you got some words
absolutely right, but it's all about perspective. It's easy for the younger generation to feel a certain type of way, and it's a lot of variables in that. One, our community, single parent homes run rampant. If you look at just the males in our community, it's a larger percentage of those guys either incarceration or don't have access to their children to give them the knowledge that they need. When you're dealing with the younger generation, their patient level is not as higher than an older generation, but transitioning to the older generation looking down on the young cats, it's like they have to understand how to communicate that to the younger generation because they don't have they wasn't familiar with social media or stuff like that. So it's just like everybody has to make adjustments for everybody to make that common bond, because it's just like some people might like wheat bread, some people might like white bread, but you still can make a fish sandwich. My bad.
And it's still the same bread.
Still the same bread, but it's just about what worked for you. And sometimes attitudes and the way that we communicate don't work with each other simply because we don't have the understanding to say, hey, let me try a different approach to this guy or to these kids, and vice versa.
The thing about the old generation is they spend more time judging the new generation. Like they don't really point out that like this is what you should be doing, or if you do it this way, you might have a better results or a better turnout. I get that a lot. Like I just seeing it out in public, just seeing it from a distance. Like it really ain't no communication. They trying to bond together. They ready to go against the new generation and just teaching them like. And that's why a lot of older people, like for example, I seen in other day in the store. Matter of fact, I was in a restaurant. A dude came in, he was homeless or whatever, or needed some money. He needed 20 cents. You know what I'm saying? He asking like 4 or 5 people for 20 cents. And I'm like, damn, y'all ain't got 20 cents to get it in, man. Like, hey,
exactly.
$50.
Like, just
so the older dude, he was like 50, he was like 20 cents. He like, damn, you need to get you a job. Nobody can give you no money. Like, get your ass out here and work like everybody else. It's like, bro, it's 20 cents, dog. Like, go on and get a man 20 cents and let it be. So, so I just told him, I gave him about $2, you know what I'm saying? Something simple like that. But at the same time, the older dude, the older cat could have did it in another way. He could have pulled it to the side. He'd be like, look, check this out. Right, I got this going on. Look, man, you can pick up trash around my house or, in the neighborhood, or you can wash my windshield and I give you $5. Instead of talking down on him, you know what I'm saying?
And the thing is if a younger generation person was watching this older generation man, then they're gonna think that's how you're supposed to talk to those people,
Especially if they like 12, 14 years old, they're gonna do the same thing that the older dude did to the cat that needed 20 cents.
Exactly. Replication rules the nation, and so everything that the young generation is doing right now is because the older generation were doing it too, and they never taught people in the younger generation not to do it.
Not to cut you off, but with that, the younger generation also have to understand that the times were different. So the consequences are a whole lot steeper than it would be if we was to do something back in the day, we probably it probably wouldn't get seen.
Right.
2, social media definitely wouldn't see it. And then 3, the consequences. They didn't have rules set aside to say if this happens consistently, then this is going to happen. Now, they have things implemented like the gun laws and weed regulations and gang laws and stuff like that. So, but one song I do want everybody to listen to, young or old, is go listen to 16s Ain't Enough by Rick Ross featuring Andre 3000. And one thing he said is a dolphin is going to move his fins whether he in and out of water. And basically what he was saying is if you don't get these kids, it's easy to say go get a job or hustle this way, but if you don't show them how to eat,
do it.
it's just like they going to get it the way they supposed to, which is why a dolphin is going to move his fins whether he in and out the water. Like a younger generation is going to always do what they do because they have to make a way whether you tell them or not. So it's just like opposed to just saying do it my way, saying how can I help you to get to this goal, because it wasn't like this.
I had this conversation with an older cat the other day, and they feel like, oh well, we're not listening to them to where they have no choice but to talk at us.
Exactly.
But I don't think they put it in that type of form either. Like it's certain way you put it in content to make the younger generation listen. You know what I'm saying? You're just coming off like I'm trying to teach you, or I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying, point
trying to
fingers
son
at you.
you.
Yeah, like they ain't
victimize.
that.
But you gotta put the candy in the medicine nowadays, man.
Yeah.
So as older OGs, we have to understand where they are mentally. Like where they getting these rules or their character basis from? What are they learning in school? Where are they learning at home? What are their peers teaching them? What is social media teaching them? So that's why it is imperative that we become the OGs that we had, because we had OGs.
Yeah, that's
These
right.
kids don't even have OGs because they're not outside finding the hustle or playing, so OG could say, I like what you're doing, let me make this adjustment to help you out like that.
Right.
That's not going on. So we have to figure out a way to say, look guys, we don't want a problem, we just want to show you a way to help you do whatever it is that you want to do. And that's going to make it easy for everybody.
That's real. That's
Completely
real.
easy for everybody. Yeah, man.
I agree, man. Like the leadership as far as like having OGs and just teachers around is definitely lacking in our generation. So moving forward, how do we get our group of brothers and sisters to be able to do that to where they can get the younger generation to follow?
Same thing you're doing now, straight dialogue.
Yep.
This is your platform to say, hey guys, even if one person hear it, that one person might share it, and 2 more other people might hear it. You know, you a DJ, right? You got a mic in your hand every day, that's your job. You know what I'm saying? Figure out a way, not you personally, but as a DJ or a vlogger, this is your platform to get that done.
To get the word.
To get the word out. So, you know, 1 gonna turn to 5, 5 gonna turn to 10, 10 gonna turn to 2,000. So just play your part, you know, and it's gonna happen. No matter what, even if somebody always on the same page, again, this perspective, because it's just like, you might wanna start up there and pick trash up by saying, walk all past all the trash, and then we're gonna clean it up coming back, opposed to saying we're gonna pick it up on the way down, and if we miss some on the way back, we'll grab it. We're still picking the trash up, but your way was different from my way. So the thing, because I'm only in education, I think what definitely would help that is if we got more black males involved in the school system to be teachers and to be counselors and mentors.
Right.
95% of the teachers that's in these inner cities schools, like the JoQs and the Winonas and the Parkers, are all black females. Those kids are not listening to those females or those women in those positions, maybe a handful. If you had more black teachers that was active and to say, hey, I'm not victimizing you, I'm not saying that you're wrong, I'm just saying think about it another way. Teaching chivalry like saying yes ma'am and no sir, respect, learning how to put your wardrobe together, teaching them that confidence, but we gotta learn who we are as individuals.
Yeah.
We have to do that first, because if you don't know who you are, you're already lost. You're easily influenced by any little thing that looks good or exciting
It's gonna trigger you off.
from society.
That's
So
right,
if I
that's
see
right.
you wearing something but I don't know who I am, and I see you getting a certain type of attention that I have a desire for, be it good or bad, I'm gonna do that because I want that attention, not knowing that that girl getting that attention might be doing that to feed her kids.
Yeah.
Because she's been abused, so she's not going home, or she's laughing to keep from crying. So you never know people's situation as to why they're doing certain things. So it's all about education and knowledge. So the way that we conversing here now, that's a conversation. Like, I heard you say something in that vlog, or I heard you say something while you was DJing. Now it's 5 of us talking about it in the studio. Now it's 6 of us talking about it on a road trip. Now the next time I get on the panel, I can reference and say, you know what, Q Smitty and A Swan said something back in Birmingham that might work for Jackson that might not necessarily work for Birmingham.
Right.
But Houston might have something that'll work for Birmingham.
That may need that type of content.
Right, so never hold your voice, never hold your tongue, let your voice be heard, because you never know who's gonna listen and when they gonna listen. You understand? So that's just a few things.
Yeah.